We're hearing this evening from the woman who landed in the middle of a political feud. She is Dr. Kelsey Steensland, who some claim the chairman of a board that oversees Southeast Health disrespected. News 4's Ken Curtis in our newsroom. And Ken, what is Dr. Steensland saying about this matter?
Well, Kinsley, in her statement, Dr. Steensland said she would be disappointed to learn that Houston County Healthcare Authority Chairman Chester Sowell made disparaging remarks about her. County Commissioner Ricky Herring said when he met with Sowell about hospital board appointments, Sowell called Dr. Steensland a girl with a boatload of children. Steensland and her husband, Judge John Steensland, have 6 children. Herring hoped to appoint Dr. Steensland to the authority, but couldn't because he must choose from nominations made by the authority, which Herring calls the fox guarding the henhouse. Now here's a portion of Dr. Steensland's statement. She says she's read about the alleged comments that have been made in reference to her qualifications on the board, says she would love to serve on that board. She said if the comments were in fact made, then she's very disappointed. The obvious implication, she said, if they were made, it means that she was excluded from consideration because she is a woman and because she is a mother. Others, including Houston County Chairman Brandon Shoup, criticized Sowell, who claims he never disrespected, or at least intentionally disrespected, Dr. Steensland. Now, this fuels the latest in an ongoing dispute between county commissioners and healthcare authority that centers largely on the appointment process. And just yesterday, Shoup questioned why doctors are leaving Dothan and medical procedures once available here must now be performed in other cities.
Ken Curtis, thank you. Dr. Kelsey Steensland's full statement is on our website. That's WTVY.com and the free News 4 app.